Hello and welcome to my channel on human design. Now, I know that a lot of you, if you watched last episode, are expecting to see me talk about the Rave New Year, which indeed I am going to do. However, I haven't done it for today, my normal timing on Mondays, simply because I am working on something that's just about coming to completion. We're in the middle of testing it now. And I would like to make that announcement along with the Rave New Year Overview, because I know a lot of you will want to hear that. And I would like the largest audience for my announcement that I'm going to make. So forgive me for that. But it's not necessarily a bad thing, because after all, you get 2 videos in this week instead of just 1. So you kind of win out on it. So today we are going to just have a short Q&A. I'm just going to go through 2 questions. But this is not to say they're not interesting questions and worth listening to, as you'll find out with our first question from Rob. My question is around occult knowledge. I have the channel of awareness. Much of the idea around following your true self versus your not self reminds me a lot of Crowley's idea of true will. Thinking about that further compels me to ask, what is human design's idea on magic or psychic abilities? I can see how the open, undefined centers lend to an idea of psychic phenomena through their receptivity, and even seeing how some known reflectors, such as Uri Geller and Teal Swan, claim to be psychic, as they may be people who can read others in the environment on a deep energetic level. What about people who claim to have been able to use their will to cause changes in reality, manifest a job or opportunity, etc., through a spell or ritual? Even people who practice things like remote viewing or astral projection. Your insight on this would be greatly appreciated. An interesting question. Thank you very much, Rob. Well, human design hasn't got a lot of that in it. Rob wasn't particularly interested in that, but I am. And I have been most of my life. For decades and decades and decades and decades and decades, I have been considering the greater consciousness and what we have access to, primarily because of things that have happened to me that make no sense in the accepted version of reality. And because I'm an investigator, and I'm curious as hell. So I have been following a lot of leads. I've been experimenting a lot with human design to see if I can clarify and collate what abilities may be in people to be able to do things in the way that you describe, psychic abilities, extrasensory perception, etc. And no, I'm not going to go through everything with you now. This is a YouTube video, but yes is the answer. The discernment and the uniqueness of people that we can see through human design also shows us things where some people have certain things and other people have other things. And yes, you can find ways to open that can of worms up. You mention reflectors being open to everything, and therefore they may well be more psychic than others. Well, not necessarily. I mean, it depends, you can't say for certain that. It depends how they've lived. I mean, I've met reflectors who've lived in the normal, accepted world in a very material way their whole lives. They have no inkling of what might be possible for them, and if they do, they don't give it any credence. It was just a coincidence or whatever. They don't really follow it up. I mean, some may, but I'm not saying it's just reflectors. I'm saying it's probably everybody. My view is that human beings in this current time have really been dumbed down. We've been dumbed down. We've been swamped by EMFs. We have been under a lot of conditioning from the outside for a very, very long time. And there are potentials in human beings that most people never think about. and the training and the information on such things is way back in the past, you know, that is not everybody has access to or would even think was possible. But, you know, I'm an investigator and I'm curious, so I've done a lot of digging. And I've also done a lot of experimentation with human design, and in the group work that I do and in the one-to-ones that I do, if it's live, to test out some things that my knowledge of human design tells me, like this, these qualities together should mean that this person will have a particularly heightened ability to do this, to know that, to affect the other, whatever it may be. So I have experimented, and yes, I have had validation and repeated the results from one experiment after another. So yes, I have gone some way in that. And at some point, I will bring that out as a course, with the warning that please do not use it for harm. Human design is to be used for good. Yeah, and human beings are such that they do tend to misuse things given half a chance. So I'm going to do my best to warn against that. But the other part of me thinks, look, if human beings really knew what they were capable of, and there are many examples you can see. I mean, you've mixed up psychic abilities, magic, ritual. You're coming at it from a very generalized way. It would be much more specific, much more specific. So, for example, rituals, yes, that's part of certain things that certain people would be very good at in order to be able to attract the forces necessary for something unusual to happen, that others wouldn't be much good at that. It's not their thing. In the awareness centers, for example, in the spleen, there to be able to tune into whether the environment or someone or something is healthy or not for them, whether it's threatening or whether it's an opportunity for them. The splenic, those with spleens will already have some connection to that because of the splenic sensations that run through the body in the moment for a few seconds. When necessary, the body will make you aware of something that you may be not aware of before, or have any idea, or even see it, but you will know, and you can act on it. Same thing as happened to me a number of times. So there are abilities in us. They can be distinguished to some degree, and most people in human design don't talk about it. And as I said, it wasn't Ra's particular interest. So be patient. You know, I'm asking for a lot of patience from viewers today. Be patient, and at the right time, in the right place, when I will let you know when I'm going to hold such a course or such a training or such an experimentation, and then we can see together and we can verify together. But it's something that I want on film so that other people can also begin to notice and to question, and to, where you've got it in you, where you've got certain things in you, to actually experiment and put attention onto that. When you're talking about Crowley's sense of will, I don't see it just about will, not at all, although the will is an amazing thing. And it does have certain capacities in certain areas, for sure, in the psychic phenomena, certainly. But still, it's mainly a material center. And like everything, you know, it's about, if you're aware that there is a possibility and you put your awareness into that, and it's something that's in you, then it will grow, then it will expand, because that possibility that you didn't think of before is actually something that has been going on. You recognize the truth when you hear it. So it's about training. It's about giving it a context where you can grasp it and then work with it. So yeah, that's something to come. And one final thing on that. We are all connected. We are connected through this incarnation. We are connected through the aura when we come within 15 feet of someone else. But we're also connected to other things more in a vertical way, more in a way that is known to those who live in the Amazon jungle or live in the desert, you know, where things can happen when you are more aware of the more subtle energies. But taking the Western mind there in the context of being in the Western world, it's gonna be a bit more effort to access it, but it is possible. So yeah, lots of fun to come later. All right, thank you for your patience and thank you for the question. Our final question is from Heidi. I have a question about recognition as a projector. I am a mental projector with only the 6124 and the 1762. I'm curious about how the awareness channel, individuality, is meant to be articulated with my channel of acceptance, which is collective. Sometimes it feels like my inner knowing cannot be expressed nor recognized because I can come off as direct and to the point with my channel of acceptance. I see myself coming off as cold to others. How do channels that may not necessarily flow together be harmonized? I hope this makes sense. I've been pondering it for quite some time, and I wish I had a more empathetic channel, especially as I enter the field of counseling. But I understand that I'm here to fully accept the way I am here to experience this life. Thank you for your helpful videos. Well, that's a great question. Thank you, Heidi, for that question. The first thing I'll say is that it's not necessarily for the channels that we have to harmonize together. It doesn't necessarily, that's not necessarily a good thing. You know, you are what you are, as you say. But it's how the expression is. And if you want to see how the 1762 and the 4323 come out, you only have to look at the chart of John Cleese, the comedian that was one of the founding members of Monty Python's Flying Circus and Fawlty Towers and various other comedy series that he did. You know, a very bright person, someone that was incredibly funny, but my God, he could be cold. If you look at him in the Fawlty Towers series, you know, he's running a B&B and people are coming to stay, and he's very rude to a lot of them, you know. And he is, you know, when you hear the expression, see yourself also being recognized in the way that he expresses himself. Now, I don't know if those are the only aspects to your throat, because I haven't looked at your whole chart. John Cleese also has the 56. He also has the 31. But still, there is this flow of logic and, you know, being to the point and being emphatic in the way that you speak. And the knowing, you know, which can be quite crazy and perhaps not altogether in the moment as well. And he portrays that really well. And that's where I would ask you to look. And it's not like, you know, he had a miserable life. He had a life that was very full. In fact, still has a life that's very full with his way of expressing himself. But he did it in a comedic way. If you're going into counseling, you know, you're someone that would be dealing with the mental projector. You're someone that would be dealing with these channels in a way of how can I get them on the right path for them? And in that sense, the 1762 can be a very good instructional channel, you know, giving them a path, giving them steps that they can walk along, and then we check up and see how they're doing the next week or the next appointment. while at the same time you access the knowing, the insight about what you suddenly know might work for them. And you don't know where that comes from. It's not logic. It just appears. The muse arises. The knowing is there. The expression is there. So it doesn't have to be a problem. It doesn't have to be harmonized. Logic will always think in terms of problems and solutions. Knowing doesn't think that way. It just knows or it doesn't know. And new knowing comes through. The combination of the two can be phenomenal. There is nothing to change. And the people that come to you will be the people that need those instructions, and they need your knowing. And the ones that need the empathy and the emotional connection, let them go to somewhere else. Let them go to someone else who will do that for them. Just as being a human design analyst, Ra was talking about, don't worry about the people coming to you. Everyone has their own fractal. Certain people will be drawn to you because of those channels that you have. And others, well, they're not for you. They're for other people. So it's not a problem. Yes, accept it, but also have a laugh about it. Have a look at some John Cleese and enjoy that. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. And viewers, I hope you've enjoyed this short Q&A this week, because there's something rather long coming on Thursday, the 22nd of January. And I hope you're going to enjoy that as well. I'm looking forward to it. See you then. Bye for now.